Hey all, here we are on Night Slayer Anniversary, and here we are on Whitemane Classic Era, where I've played for many years and continue to play. The population right now of Classic Era is around 3,300 level 60s rating, which is a decent amount still. That's across both factions. Similar for EU, similar numbers. And then when we go over here to Night Slayer, it's about 20,000, 19,000 total, with close to, 9,000-ish per faction. What we're going to be doing is comparing prices on these two servers. Whitemane is from 2019. And it's been through a lot. It's been in the Nax phase for like 3 years or more now. And what has happened to Whitemane is currently happening to Fresh. There is an army of bots. They are fly hacking. They are just, ravaging the land. They are picking it dry. You go out there and you look for a flower. And yes, you can find flowers. But you also find a lot of bots. You get to a flower and there's a bot already grabbing it. So let's look at the auction house. Like I said, we're going to be comparing the prices. Now, there is a value of the gold in IRL currency, right? And so on G2G.com, I don't buy gold. But I looked it up and it was 45 cents for 1 gold here on Night Slayer and 4.5 cents for 1 gold on Classic Era. You could almost quit your day job if you were good enough at farming gold on Night Slayer. If you had a whole botting operation, you could be making hundreds of gold per hour, and that's a scary thought. I really think it ruins the integrity of the game, but I do understand why people buy gold. And it's almost like the bots are forcing people to buy gold, right? Because the difference between Night Slayer and Classic Era is there's GDKP on Classic Era. And most of my rating on Classic Era has been soft reserve, but I also, I've done a ton of rating in GDKP. I have more gold than I could possibly need. I have 1 million gold on Classic Era, and multiple years worth of consumes saved up. And I don't buy gold, but I never had any issue being able to afford consumes on Classic Era. On here, it's difficult. Some of the consumes and stuff is affordable. It's okay. But then some are just so out of proportions. Anyways, let's get into it. We're going to look at some basic stuff first. Let's just look at Plague Bloom and like Mountain Silver Sage, Dreamfoil. So that Dreamfoil, okay, and then Mountain Silver Sage, okay, and Groms. These are your main flowers. Remember all those amounts. We're gonna go over here and let's see what we got here. So because the value of gold on Whitemane in IRL currency is like 10% of Night Slayer, you would then think, or at least I think, that the price we should see is 10 times as much if they're in balance. I don't know how to spell sometimes. Bear with me. So here we're at less than 5 gold. So it's not 10 times as expensive. It's still expensive, but not 10 times as expensive. Dream. Really cannot type this keyboard. 5 gold-ish, little, it's Mountain Silver Sage. So, if this, we would expect this to be 10 gold. Groms, it is expensive, 12 gold a piece. And the reason is that the demand for Grom's blood is very high. For example, let's say you're going to do an axe and it's clean, or any raid for that matter, and you use like 2 mongooses. So that's going to require you to use, let's just say, 4 Plague Bloom and 4 Mountain Silver Sage. But 3 Grom's blood for your Mighty Rage potion. If you're going to use 15 Mighty Rage potions in a raid, and then your Flask of the Titans, there's a big demand, larger demand for Grom's blood, and the only place you can reliably get this is Dire Maul. And then the main thing is there's a ton of people in Dire Maul, a lot of botters in Dire Maul, printing raw gold with the fly hacker hunters, and then you have mages farming the lashers, then also picking flowers, and so the Grom's blood is very cheap on fresh. But here, high demand, low value of farming, and but there's a lot of farming going on with fresh. Let's look at some elementals, shall we? So elemental earth, 1.85, much more expensive than some of the flowers. But if we look at elemental fire, crazy expensive right now due to just the nature of molten core and such. I think in Blackland Layer this is going to be insanity, absolute insanity. But if we look at the water, it's not too bad, and I've got a bunch of this ready for Nax. Now if we look over here really quickly at elemental earth, it's pretty darn expensive. The reasoning is that less farmers, and so if we look at slash who Marudon, we got 1 person in Marudon, and then if we look at Marudon over here, Marudon 60 Mage, there's just so many people, and they're getting a lot of elemental earth from there. And then if we keep looking at the other ones, elemental fire, 9 gold, 12 gold, then it does go expensive. And then we've got water, because it's used in Nax, and Nax is out here but not out in fresh. So again, it has to do with the crazy amount of farming going on fresh. Then we're going to look at some of the big rare consumes. So we got Arcane Crystal, 40 gold a pop, 45 gold a pop. If we go over here, there's not a ton of people farming this, and so it's not 10 times the price. It's not 450 gold, so it's still for Whitemane this is like a reasonable price, because you could do a GDKP, come out with 2,000 gold in 1 hour raid. Like, this is a joke, right? You'd have to farm for hours to find some of these, so realistically it is fairly cheap. We'll look at the big one, Blue Sapphire, only 17 gold here, and if you're playing on Night Slayer, you know that this just illustrates how effed up the economy is. I filmed this earlier, and silly me, my microphone wasn't turned on, and so I'm refilming it. Earlier when I filmed this was 150 gold. Now they are 200 gold. It dumbfounds me. And then let's look at the big one, Black Lotus, 175 gold. I filmed this earlier. They were 165. And when I looked earlier, they were 150. Now they're 175. Now, surely over here, because things might be like 10 times the price. What could this be? What do you think a Black Lotus is going to be? 97 gold. There's still a high demand. There's a lot of raiders clearing. I would say there's more people using Black Lotus on Era than there is on Fresh because it's so expensive on Fresh. And let's face it, we don't need to use a flask for Molten Core. I sure as heck don't. And it's cheaper here. So what you have on Fresh here is an extremely effed up economy. There's so many botters. It's just insanity. So many gold buyers. And it's a vicious cycle because, first of all, you have so many bots, fly hackers, etc. Running around grabbing this stuff. There are videos of fly hackers in Dire Mall. There are videos of just bots going around the world, teleporting around, picking Black Lotuses. You can go in the world and find them, but you have to fight against people eagle-eyeing, and the chance of you running along and finding a Lotus is so rare. Probably what they need to do is make it so like it was in Season of Mastery, where you pick a flower and it's got a chance of giving you a Lotus, because holy crap, man. There's just so... It's so difficult to get some items, and other items they're manageable. Like Molten Core takes me 1 hour for my guild to do. I do one mongoose, and I don't, unless I die, which probably not going to happen at this point with the progression. It's really not that big a deal for me to use a mongoose, which is like 4 gold. And of course I have an herbalist. So I don't have to actually spend the gold, but it's really not that bad. What do you think the solution is? I think we need to potentially make Black Lotuses a bit more easy to get, and that would be helpful. It would make it would make it so that you can't just have these eagle-eyeing bots and fly hackers setting the price of the Black Lotus. I mean, GDKP would allow people to participate in raids, but then you have to pay to win. Right now, you just got to roll the dice. It's soft reserve or whatever the case may be for your loot system for Molten Core. And it's just gold buying is affecting the consumables and not the gear. And it's really made stuff so expensive. Anyways, what do you think? It's crazy. I will say one more thing. I'll finish with this. People always said bad things about Whitemane. I don't want to play on Whitemane. That server is so messed up. We need a fresh server. We need a fresh server. And I said time and time again, it's not going to take long for your fresh server to become the next Whitemane. We saw it with Season of Discovery. We saw all the botters and all that stuff, all the fly hackers, and it's no different, man. It's like you have this lush, new, untainted area that you're living in. Then all the companies move in and they're just like doing, deep mining and sucking up all the water. And then you move to a new, fresh oasis, and then they follow you. So it's always going to be this way unless Blizzard really does something. What do you think about it, and what's your solution? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a sub and a comment. Catch me live on my Twitch channel, Dwarf Lord TV, to connect with me or say hi to me in game on any of my characters. Dwarf Lord out.
And they say that the Dwarf Lord could save us. I'm not gonna pave here and wait. I'll hold on to the beard of the Dwarf Lord. Watch as we heroic leap away.